So around the internet today, a lot of people have been talking about Destiny's population collapse, how right now at this moment, it's the lowest point in Destiny's active and concurrent population. Now, if you guys have been following my content and know where I stand, just to reiterate in case this video is an introduction to this channel, I don't think concurrency actually really tells the story, but a lot of people put a lot of weight into concurrency in a way that feels a little bit off balance. Now, in this video, I want to talk about the state of Destiny 2, how Lightfall really is going to reinvigorate a lot of people's excitement, but Destiny's current season pass model is a part of the problem. Destiny's limit into or lean into vertical progression that resets each and every year is a reason why everything that's happening right now with Destiny's population is happening. Now, Destiny is an incredible game. Highly recommend you check it out and play it. It's absolutely worth your time. But the seasonal model, the vertical progression model, underlines, it really highlights key problems within this specific game, because Destiny has two progression systems, a vertical and a horizontal, and I always recommend, especially new players, focusing on the horizontal, because every time there's a new expansion, every year you can set your watch to it almost, you're gonna see that entire power, that vertical progression raise up. Now, there is hope. If you guys haven't seen, at least in terms of the marketing, they are currently marketing the Lightfall's seasonal pass now as an annual pass. And I think that's going to help address some of the issues, assuming this makes some of the key changes that I think would be valuable. So in this video, I'd like to explore with you guys some of the thoughts that I had about actually changing the Destiny model without completely wrecking it. Because at its core, we've seen old school systems, old school MMOs solve these problems through player-driven economics and things like that. But there's no way you could introduce that system and that kind of gameplay into this game this late in the stage. So we're not going to explore that specific topic here, but we're going to talk a lot about horizontal and the vertical problem, because as Destiny is a game that will respect your time, it doesn't respect your investment, at least if you're investing in a vertical progression system, which a lot of people end up looking at it and just saying, now's not the right time for me to pour my time into this game, especially because all that's going to become irrelevant here when Lightfall launches. And with that, hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Brian if you're new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Thanks so much for coming back and checking out this video, and I hope that you get some interesting insight in this topic, let alone, because as you've probably been seeing on this channel alone, I've been talking a lot about the MMORPG, old school design, new school design, and I think that there's a bridge, a pathway to kind of take some of the concepts of the old school and blend them in with the new school. But what Destiny does right now, what the problem that is underlying the current population dip, and remember guys, these games have really shifted into the seasonal model, the hype cycle model, and this falls into three categories. You have the season of hype, you have the season of grind, and you have the season of bitch, where essentially you get excited, you play the content, and then you complain about the content. And in a content creation, Twitch-driven mentality, algorithmically driven, this is essentially the cycle that you can see repeated over and over again. Insert any games as a service title, and that is going to be the seasonal model that you actually see playing out. There could be many varying seasons of that same concept happening within the life cycle, and that's almost like you have like a meta or a grandiose, a macro environment of those three seasons, and then you have kind of a micro environment of those same three seasons, and that can be kind of the seasonal patch content cycle, in which right now, as Destiny gets ready to build up to its next season, which is going to lead into the Lightfall episode, I think there's some real opportunities there as they evaluate player population, player engagement, but more than anything else, I really want to hope and encourage them to evaluate player joy. I think a lot of what we see and one of the problems that I continue to harp on really comes from the inspiration of World of Warcraft and its continual vertical progression. You can have vertical and horizontal progression that can really kind of even itself out. You think about it almost in a way, if we talk about like blood sugar and regulating that within your own body, same concept with vertical versus horizontal. Vertical is that spike, that excitement, you're actually moving to something, but the horizontal is kind of the more even killed, slower form of progression. It applies more to your investment as well. And a game that can really balance these two out well is a game that is something that I think a lot of people gravitate to. Don't hear me wrong, Destiny's gameplay, I think for me, has always been top tier, but when it comes to its progression, you can see that I easily dip out. Couple reasons, couple fixes that I continue to want to see. I'm so thrilled they're bringing loadouts, but one of the things I would love to see, even if they go with that seasonal pass, they call it an annual pass, but you have this season of content. With a battle pass style system, I really want them to steal what Halo did, even though Halo is not in a good state right now, in terms of letting you own a battle pass and then continuing to grind on it however long you wish. They've kept the content, but in terms of that grind, when people talk about what do you do when you're level 100? What do you do after you finish the season? Imagine coming in today, not having been able to play any of those other seasons, and then having the option to grind up those levels. Now, when it comes to verticality, the problem with vertical progression in a successful game, now in a non-successful game, we're not talking about it, but in a successful game, over time, vertical progression introduces some key problems. One of them is, how do you get new players to get caught back up to everybody? Well, you either got to make it easy, you got to let them buy it, or like you do in Destiny, is that every year you end up having a reset. This is a frustration in terms of a player's level of investment. So I think one of the things that Destiny could really look to do in Lightfall is more avenues for horizontal progression. Destiny's gun game and collection game act as a form of horizontal progression. Leveling up the catalyst within the exotics, that's a form of horizontal progression because that carries forward with you each and every time, no matter when the power level is reset. So Destiny, if they could actually look at doing that and adding in more ways that you as a player can make that kind of investment into your character that then carries forward each and every time. Personally speaking, I understand why the power level gets reset, but as a longtime player, especially an MMO player at heart, that in and of itself actually does the opposite. It actually makes me play less, feeling like I am going to just have everything kind of get leveled up automatically. Removes that interest, removes that drive in me personally. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to have that same psychological issue that I have with it, or blessing. I don't know, whatever way you want to look at it. But when we bring these two systems together, I would love to say that the things that I invest in when I'm playing and I'm looking at actually playing the next season, I completely dipped out of this season, and that's just the way that it is sometimes. Like sometimes you want to play, sometimes you don't. But that's why I still wish that I could grind on the battle pass at some point in the future when I'm actively just like all in on Destiny, because that's the majority of us as players. We're gonna be like all in on a game, and then we're gonna kind of ease out and play other things and be all in. This is another factor I haven't heard talked about. Maybe I missed it in a video somewhere, but Destiny actually used to come out in the fall. Used to compete against all the big guns out there as well. Like right now you got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 out. I got some friends that are playing that and keep inviting me. I haven't yet decided if I want to jump in on it, but beyond that game alone and Destiny, like that was something that was in the fall. So one of the things is that them shifting their release into the late winter, early spring kind of window means that the big content drop that usually has people investing time and playing a lot more has been pushed out. And then, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I don't actually really see any kind of core issues with player population and flow. I know a lot of people seem to harp on that, but I think this is a good opportunity for the Destiny community to really talk about what they would like to see in it, because every time you go and increase that vertical progression and then essentially make it completely worth this a year later, I think you have a lot of people just say like, why am I doing this in the first place? I played this stuff for the fun of it, and then I got the thing that I wanted, and then I decided to go play something else. I think one simple change, and I'd love to know your thoughts about it, one simple change would be to have the power level at its highest cap at release. Stop kind of gating it behind the different seasons, but literally let people, if they want to grind it all out at the beginning, then they can. They don't have to wait for each season for that power level to kind of arbitrarily go up a little bit more, thus making your investment overall much more worth it. I would love to see something in terms of at least that yearly reset. Again, verticality in the power game, it's a hard thing. I would rather, and that's why I personally invest in catalysts and guns and collections as opposed to even worrying about power. In fact, getting out of that daily cycle, getting out of the system of chores to be able to progress is one of the best ways to play Destiny. It works until it doesn't. The dopamine doesn't work anymore on me in that regards. So I try to just sit back and play the things that I want, and obviously teaming up with other people who are playing ends up helping out. Anyhow, there's a lot of little things and little tweaks that we could talk about, especially in terms of content creation, streaming, and so much more. Maybe we'll explore that in future videos, but I don't want to waste your time as my voice decides to fail me. I'm gonna leave you with that. I don't think this is a problem. I think this is a part of its design. It's perfectly flawed in an interesting way, and this is a cost of what verticality is, as opposed to like just general horizontal or vertical progressions, and without a true MMO underpinning that really kind of connects the community through economy, thus allowing and giving a wide range of value to the content that you run. It just seems like, you know what, if you're actively playing right now, gather up resources. That's going to be something that carries forward with you. If you're actively playing right now, collect guns and various catalysts. Don't worry about power. Don't stress yourself out, because here in less than 6 months, everybody's going to be on the same power level anyway, and it all gets reset. And that design works until it doesn't, and that's what's happening right now. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for your time today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I'll see you in my next one, but until then, take care.